evening. I'm Pia Ontiveros. It's December 1st and the countdown to Christmas begins for many, but the holiday cheer comes with caution. Today, PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa says Metro Manila is under terror alert level 3. That after he presented 2 suspects in a foiled bombing on Ross Boulevard in Manila. Our George Giles has that story.
A businessman and an imam or an Islamic priest. These are the 2 suspects in the foiled bombing incident near the U.S. Embassy in Manila on Monday. PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa says Jiaher Ginar and Rayson Kilala alias Rashid are members of Ansar al-Khalifa Philippines, which pledged allegiance to the terror group ISIS.
Siya, pagdating dito, tinunover sa kanya yung bomba, pati sasakyan. Ito ang naglagay sa bomba. Na-recover sa kanya yung cellphone na ginamit pang trigger doon sa bomba.
De La Rosa says the homemade bomb was transported to Manila from Mindanao via a Toyota Revo. And the initial target, Luneta Park.
Luneta muna. Sabi niya, since hindi sumabog, tapos nakonsensya daw siya na baka maraming mamatay, itong si Rashid, sinabihan niya na doon na lang tayo sa ibang lugar dahil sa Ross Boulevard hanggang finally doon nakita sa basurahan.
The PNP admits possible security lapses in the undetected transport of the improvised explosive device. Police are still looking for 3 more individuals who may have returned to Lanao del Sur to fight with the Maute Group. De La Rosa says Ansar al-Khalifa Philippines has an alliance with the Maute Group.
Kailang motive para ma-recognize sila ng ISIS. Kasi as of now, yung status nila as allied with ISIS is hanging in the balance. At the same time, yung to ease up the pressure doon sa nangyaring gira ngayon doon sa Butig, Lanao Sur.
The PNP chief says the country is under terror alert level 3, the highest in the terrorism advisory system because of the threat. Meaning terror groups could retaliate because of the firefight between the military and the Maute Group in Butig, Lanao del Sur.
Sa security threat level, that doesn't mean na merong talagang present and imminent danger of terrorist act or terrorist bombing dito sa Metro Manila in particular.
But the PNP says the public has nothing to worry about. In fact, De La Rosa even went to a mall in Mandaluyong City to give gifts to children of drug users or pushers who have turned themselves into the police. Wearing a Santa Claus costume, Santa Chief De La Rosa says, despite security concerns, the police are there to ensure public safety and security.
Lalong-lalo at magpapasko, maniguro tayo na hindi tayo masingitan naman uli. Yun lang po sa amin, yung Marcelo, please forget about that. Hindi namin yan iniisip.
George Giles, CNN Philippines.
The Office of the Communications Secretary says placing the country under terror alert level 3 is consistent with President Duterte's declaration of a state of national emergency or state of lawless violence after the Davao bombing last September. Raising the highest terror advisory comes days after police thwarted a bombing near the U.S. Embassy. The Communications Office says the advisory puts the police force on extreme alert for terrorists who might attempt to sow fear in Metro Manila. The government is assuring the public there will be no disruption in their normal lives. Later on in the program, we'll speak with Metro Manila Police Chief Oscar Albayalde for him to further explain the terror alert and if there's an imminent threat, especially this coming holidays. Now, the police tagged 2 suspects in the foiled bombing as members of the terror group Ansar al-Khalifa Philippines. Who are these people? Here's what CNN Philippines research found. The group is claiming support in Sarangani province. Local officials say as of December 2015, it has recruited over 1,000 people in central Mindanao. Also, last year, government forces killed 8 alleged members in an encounter in Sultan Kudarat, including a suspected Indonesian bomber. They recovered 5 ISIS flags, documents, firearms, and explosives. There's no direct link yet between the Ansar al-Khalifa and the Maute Group, but both pledge allegiance to ISIS. Heads up, Quezon City residents Maynilad will cut water supply in some parts of the city for almost 2 days next week for major repairs in the system. We're now showing you a list of barangays that will have no water. That's a total of 15 barangays. Supply will be cut beginning 8 o'clock in the evening of December 5th until 4 in the morning of December 7th. Maynilad is advising residents to prepare. The water concessionaire will also deploy 14 water tanks.
Pagka po nag-leak yun, wala po kaming pagsasarahan ng gate valve para ma-repair namin yung leak na yon.
Our Tricia Terrado went to areas that will be covered by the water service interruption. We will have that later on in the program. In sports, it'll be a blockbuster showdown with the UAAP men's basketball finals. Ateneo versus LaSalle again after 8 years. And sports desk anchor Miko Lili joins us for our pre-game discussion. Miko, so long ago na ba yun?
Well, maybe
Ateneo LaSalle.
8 years is a long time, maybe.
Yeah, that's like a drought.
Chris Chu was still playing for Ateneo. The last time Ateneo and LaSalle met in the finals, I can tell you that. I can tell you that these two teams are 1-1. LaSalle won in the first round. LaSalle won in the first round. Ateneo won in the second round. But what I want to tell you is that 2016 marks the 30th year of Ateneo and LaSalle being together
In the same league?
In the same league.
UAAP.
Yeah, hard to imagine, but for many years, these two rivals were not part of the same league.
Oo. That's true, no, Miko. Parang, you know, for the longest time, people always thought, parang ito na yung highlight no, ng UAAP, or ng, at the time, no, NCAA, long time ago. Parang corny kapag hindi Ateneo LaSalle lumaban sa finals. Correct?
Well, I'm not going to say that because a lot of schools will be upset at me for saying that. But definitely, if you're from Ateneo and LaSalle, you want your rivals to face each other in a championship series. And, you know, that did not happen for, you know, almost a decade when neither school were together in one league.
Yeah. I was in college back in the 80s, no? So 87, 88, that was the time na nag-champion ang Ateneo.
The back-to-back champion team, yes.
That was when, that was the first UAAP championship, hindi ba?
Ng Ateneo.
Yeah.
And then 86 was the first time nagsama ulit yung Ateneo LaSalle. LaSalle joined the UAAP in 1986. Ateneo was already there. And so, you know, the fans of both schools, yay, we're together again.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can curse each other again. We can hate each other again on the basketball court.
Total Throwback Thursday to, Miko.
Exactly.
So let's go back pa over the years. Explain to us how this happened, this whole evolution of the Ateneo-LaSalle rivalry.
Okay, the unofficial start, and please, nobody quote me, because this is the unofficial, in 1939. That's what the old-timers say. It all started in 1939. It involved, you know, LaSalle students throwing fried chicken, you know, at the Ateneo team or Ateneo players in Rizal at the Padre Faura campus. And so it all starts from there. Remember, Ateneo LaSalle used to be exclusive boys' schools and, you know, coming from the best families of the Philippines. And you know, so one school felt they were better than the other school felt the same way. They were fighting over the same, you know, pretty girls, you know, from the exclusive schools.
So the basketball rivalry was an extension of
it was an
else.
extension of...
And an outlet.
Of the socio-economic rivalry of these two schools. And so it's passed on from generation to generation to generation. And I'm lucky because when I went to Ateneo, nasa UAAP na pareho. So I was able to experience that rivalry. You know, the 88 championship, Ateneo LaSalle, I mean, that was one of the best sporting moments.
Yeah, that was the time of, you know, Mike Facundo, Ray Rances.
No,
and I'm sure
that was after.
After. Ay, sorry, after nga pala. Okay, sorry. I'm sure yung mga basketball fans ng millennials ngayon,
who are they talking about?
Yeah. Pero, you know, yung sa NCAA, hindi ba, umalis muna Ateneo,
yes,
diba? Ano nangyari? It got kind of rowdy,
very violent,
right?
Very violent. So Ateneo left 1970 after the 1977 season because of violence during the 77 finals between Ateneo and San Beda. So Ateneo decided, we're out. We're moving to the UAP. LaSalle stayed in the NCAA, and then because of violence between LaSalle and Letran, LaSalle left in 1918. They said, you know what, we're leaving too. So from 1980 to 86, well, 78 to 85, there was no Ateneo-LaSalle game. No Ateneo-LaSalle until 86, LaSalle said, hey, Ateneo, we miss you so much. We're going to join you again. And so they got reunited.
At masaya nga ulit ngayon. But of course, this rivalry has become very friendly and more civil than anything else.
A lot,
just to wrap things up.
A lot friendlier. I mean, during your time and my time, there was no such thing as politically correct. You can shout stuff in the Coliseum that would not be allowed today. And so fans now are experiencing a more civil version of the rivalry for sure.
Yeah, and you know, we sing each other's school anthems.
Oh, you clap for each other now. That never happened before.
Okay, thanks, Miko. We'll talk to you again later. It's World AIDS Day. We'll find out what government is doing to address the epidemic in the Philippines, one of the most affected countries in the world. And guess who dressed up as Santa Claus? Stay tuned to CNN Philippines.
Getting the best things from around the world just got better for me with Western Union. I can send money directly to a bank account abroad starting from 500 peso transfer fee. It's simple, affordable, and easy. It doesn't get any better than this.
Ford Ranger, always ready when the unexpected happens.
Big boy na baby ko ah.
May mga bitin na cute. Pero pag cheese ang bitin,
Hindi cute.
ang Magnolia Cheesy, mas maraming slices at 39 pesos only. Para ang cheese,
Baby king.
Magnolia Cheesy, mas busog sa cheese.
Sa lahat ng ginagawa ko, I live by 2 words. Tamang swabe.
Sa trabaho, maayos. Sa pagdala sa sarili, maginoo. Sa buhay, may amor.
Yan ang tamang swabe.
At matapos ang mga araw ko na tamang swabe,
Iisa lang ang hanap ko. Swabing tama ng Primera Light Brandy. Para sa akin,
ito ang inuming walang sabit.
pangako ko sa'yo. Primera Light Brandy.
Tamang swabe, swabeng tama. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines Network News. Government forces regained control of the boutique down Central Lanao del Sur after fighting the Maute terror group for almost a week. Our senior correspondent David Santos was able to enter the town. David, what did you see?
Well, Pia, scenes of destruction greeted us as we entered the poblacion or the town proper of Butig in Lanao del Sur. This is the first time journalists are given access to the community since intense fighting broke out between the military and the Maute terror group about a week ago. Now, the Army's 103rd Brigade said it has retaken full control of Butig's poblacion, the area size of about 10 hectares, which the Maute group occupied last November 24. Now, heavily armed Maute fighters seized the municipal hall, which was previously abandoned, a public school, and a madrasa, or an Arabic learning center. Now, aside from flashing the Maute out of Butig's poblacion, the government troops wanted to make sure that the Philippine flag is hoisted in front of the town hall. When it took over the poblacion last week, the Maute group raised the ISIS flag, drawing concerns from the government.
Isang simbolo yun na ayaw na nilang maging membro ng ating lipunan, ng ating bansa. So ito'y insulto sa atin. Na dapat ito'y teritoryo ng Pilipinas, na dapat ang winawagayway dito ay bandila ng Pilipinas.
Pursuit operations continue against fleeing Maute members who are withdrawing towards the outskirts, particularly the eastern part of Butig town. The military is also trying to clear the Butig poblacion before it can allow civilians to return to the community. On Wednesday, a soldier was hurt when he tripped on a booby trap. He sustained injuries on both feet and was rushed to a hospital here in Iligan City. Now, Murillo says they're also on the lookout for Maute leaders and their followers who may try to blend in among the civilians to escape pursuing troops.
Very fluid kasi yung situation. Maaaring nandito ngayon, maaaring bukas, makalawa. Wala na naman, depende. Hinahabol pa rin natin. No? May mga sightings tayo, so every time na may mga ganong confirmed reports is ina-address natin.
This is actually, Pia, the third time the military had to wrestle control of Butig town from the Maute group. The terror group also took control of Butig's poblacion in February and then again in May. Now, local officials asked President Duterte yesterday during his visit here if the AFP can station a permanent unit in the town to prevent the attack from happening again and again. Pia.
David, so why does the Maute group keep on attacking Butig?
Well, the Mautes are from Butig town, and from what we know, their family is very influential in that close-knit community. Pledging alliance to the ISIS, its leaders perceive that Butig is the most ideal place to set up the so-called Islamic State in Lanao. Now, on the 3 attempts to seize control of Butig, they have raised the ISIS flag on the municipal hall, seen as a symbolic gesture to show force. Now, while the military has successfully flushed out the Maute on those 3 attempts, it has not kept a significant presence to prevent the Maute from coming back. Now, the military, which is thinly spread out in the region, had to address other security concerns, including the elections last May. Now, with President Duterte coming to Lanao del Sur yesterday, he said he will look into ways on how his government, his administration can help improve the security situation in Butig. Pia.
David, do we know when displaced residents can return to the town?
Well, according to Colonel Murillo, he is still not advising residents to return to the Butig poblacion, considering clearing and pursuit operations are still ongoing. Also, the military has to sort out the situation with local officials in order to ensure the Mautes do not come back for the 4th time. Now, as to President Duterte's idea of talking to the Mautes, the military says it is bowing down to the wisdom of their commander-in-chief on finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict in Butig. Pia.
David Santos there reporting from Lanao Sur. Countries are joining hands to combat and treat HIV/AIDS on World AIDS Day. The Philippines itself lists thousands of HIV cases, and Isabella Montano tells us what needs to be done to address the epidemic.
If you ask Darwin Tenoria, the day he discovered he was HIV positive was also the day he discovered the purpose of his life. When Tenoria discovered he had stage 4 full-blown AIDS, he was only 28. He is lucky because his body has responded well to the medical treatment, and now he gives counsel to as many as 5 patients a day.
I think this is my purpose in life. So I will not stop here. And I'm very lucky because when I got diagnosed, it was totally full-blown. I thought I will not make it.
Tenoria's partner, who wants to remain anonymous, is not HIV positive, and he regularly takes preventive medication. They both say the illness can't stop the love that binds them.
Once it turned out to be positive, it's still a normal human being. You can love and be loved and find someone who really accepts for who you are. No matter what sexual orientation you have, it's unconditional love.
The Philippines is one of the few countries left in the world where people still die of HIV/AIDS and where the number of HIV incidences is consistently rising. Also, the age is getting lower, with more than half of the individuals in the 25 to 34 age group. Drew Ching, who left a career in banking, offers a solution. He has dedicated his life to counseling people with HIV and spreading awareness on prevention and treatment. Ching started his advocacy in 2010 when he felt there were just too many of his friends dying of AIDS.
The involvement of schools and parents when it comes to sexual education, talking about HIV and other sexually transmitted infection, their involvement is a key factor to informing, especially the youth, who actually make up quite a big number of our recent HIV incidences in the country.
The government has been taking steps to step up awareness on HIV/AIDS, but until the Philippines has not dodged this global health crisis, people like Tenoria and Ching are doing all they can to help one patient at a time. Isabella Montano, CNN Philippines.
And to prevent a further rise in cases, the Health Department sets aside a bigger budget for HIV treatment in 2017. The antiretroviral therapy, or ART, aims to suppress the virus and stop its progression. ART also prevents virus transmission. The DOH reports HIV cases are up by 17% this year from 2015. More than 3,000 new cases were reported between July and October. 96% of those infected are males, 15 to 34 years old, most of them from Metro Manila.
For next year, we're increasing the budget for antiretrovirals to 1 billion.
There are 26 HIV treatment hubs nationwide. Self-testing for HIV may be available in the coming years. Dry days ahead for Quezon City residents. Find out if you'll be affected by Maynila water service interruption next week. And because it's the merriest season of all, LRT1 passengers are in for a Christmas treat. We'll tell you more about that when Network News returns. Welcome back to CNN Philippines Network News. New ambassador to the Philippines, new U.S. ambassador to the Philippines, Sung Kim, is arriving in the country later tonight. Kim's flight is expected to touch down at 10:15 in the evening at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, Terminal 1. He was sworn in early last month in Washington, D.C. Kim was Special Representative for North Korea Policy, as well as Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of East Asia and Pacific Affairs. He was also ambassador to South Korea from 2011 to 2014. His tour of duty comes as President Duterte adopts a foreign policy that's less dependent on the United States and as the U.S. transitions to a new administration. Thousands of people continue to pay tribute to the Brazilian soccer team whose members were killed in a plane crash in Colombia in the hometown of Chapecoense. Fans, families and friends filled the stadium and held a memorial service for the victims. They donned the club's green and white colors. Wednesday was the day the team was supposed to play its biggest match in its history, facing Colombia's Atlético Nacional in a regional final. The ceremony was also held at the stadium the Colombian team in Medellin. More than 46,000 people turned up for the event. It was an unspeakable tragedy. At least 71 people killed in that plane crash. Miraculously, 6 people on board were rescued. There was no sign of explosion or fire. That's why investigators have been talking about the aircraft running out of fuel. CNN's Shasta Darlington takes us through the crash site.
Getting this close to the disaster, you just get an idea of how terrifying it must have been. Right over here, you can see the jacket that either the pilot or the co-pilot had. The tea, typical from southern Brazil, where the soccer team came from, a flight manual, the carts carrying food. Then over here behind me, you can where have been working. They've been just combing through all of this wreckage, this debris. You can see the seats, the cables. It's unbelievable that there were even 6 survivors, but it's also, I think, notable you do not see signs of an explosion or a fire, and that's why investigators have been talking about the plane being low or out of fuel. Just incredible and incredibly sad. From this perspective, you can really see how the plane came crashing down the mountain. Part of the cabin, unbelievably, is still intact. That may have been where survivors were, but the wreckage is just strewn across this little valley. Right here, we've even got a piece of the control panel from the cockpit. And over here, something a bit more heartwarming. People from the local community have hiked their way up here to put up these little crosses, one here, another behind me, to show their solidarity with the survivors and with those who were lost in the crash. Shasta Darlington, CNN, Medellin, Colombia.
When we return, we'll check the hottest trending topics online, the upcoming title series between Ateneo and La Salle in the UAAP, and the wittiest punchlines from Wednesday's anti-Marcos protests. This is CNN Philippines Network News.
Enjoy being in the spotlight. Super style. Super Elantra. Para sa mangganado na walang pinipiling oras, na handang isakripisyo ang araw ng Pasko, araw na dapat sa pamilya, para maglingkod sa iba.
Naku, maraming salamat.
Ganadong Pasko mula sa Ginebra San Miguel. Kayo ay tunay na inspirasyon sa bawat Pilipino. Ginebra San Miguel, ganado sa buhay.
Nako, si Irene. I cannot trust her with directions. If she says third floor, second floor yun.
Ikaw kaya, I can't trust you with being organized. Kalat-kalat ang damit, parang ukay-ukay.
Pero pagdating sa pork chop, the best si Irene. Grain-fed ang cattle and hogs sa farm. Blast chilled para safe. Kaya fresh and quality meats lang ang nabibili niya lagi. Subok na eh.
People trust Monterey. Always fresh, always safe.
Kuha pa kayo, kundi ubos yan. Trust me.
Monterey, meats you can trust.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines Network News. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Today's top stories.
At umamin na. Ito gusto mo umamin.
Umamin na po.
Umamin siya.
Two suspects in a foiled bombing on Rojas Boulevard in Manila identified and arrested. The Philippine National Police says the country is under the highest terror alert level. We'll look into what that means. Parts of Quezon City will have no water for 2 days next week. We'll go to areas where taps will run dry. The bitter hard-fought rivalry is back after 8 years. The Blue Eagles and the Green Archers in the UAAP men's basketball finals. Who will have the winning edge? And Santa Claus begins to give gifts in the countdown to Christmas, so it's Santa Bato. Our top story tonight, the National Police has in custody two suspects in a foiled bombing on Rojas Boulevard in Manila. National Police Chief Ronald De La Rosa says both are members of the Ansar al-Khalifa Philippines, a group that pledged allegiance to the ISIS. Police are hunting down 3 more suspects. Investigation shows the initial target of the bombing was Luneta Park. The PNP admits possible security lapses as the homemade bomb was transported to Manila undetected.
2:30, di ba? Madaling araw. Pero gabi pa lang, sa Luneta, nag-attempt na sila doon. Pumalpak lang. Pumalpak. Una, radyo daw yung triggering device, triggering mechanism. Pumalpak, tinanggal yung radyo, nilagyan ng cellphone. Tinrigger uli ang cellphone doon. Pumalpak din. So, nag-move sila, pumunta ng Rojas Boulevard, doon ang lagay sa basurahan.
The PNP chief also says the country is under terror alert level 3, the highest in the terrorism advisory system. Now, what does a level 3 terror alert mean? We speak with Metro Manila Police Chief Oscar Albayalde. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Pia.
So, sir, can you tell us what exactly are we going to see on the streets when we talk about terror alert level 3?
The security.
Sir? All right, I think we lost that line to Chief Superintendent Albayalde. We're going to try and get him back so we can talk to him again. In the meantime, let's move on first. PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa takes full responsibility for recalling the relief of Superintendent Marvin Marcos. Marcos is the commander of the CIDG Region 8, those responsible in killing Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa in a supposed shootout inside the Leyte sub-provincial jail early this month. Marcos was also tagged by alleged drug lord Kerwin Espinosa for allegedly receiving drug money. De La Rosa reveals he recalled the relief order after he got a phone call from a high-ranking official from Malacanang seeking Marcos's reinstatement.
That's my decision. That's my decision. I may be hanged or I may be praised by that decision, tanggapin ko lahat. That's my own decision, my own volition to reinstate them.
Meanwhile, Senator Laila De Lima said it was Special Assistant to the President Bongo who called De La Rosa to reinstate Marcos.
Yung tao ni Duterte. I got this, I better do it. Anyway, what more can they do to me? I have my own sources. I'm just quoting a source. Pero hindi ko i-reveal ang source ko. Kawawa naman siya. Bongo. Let them deny that. If they deny, okay. Hindi naman ako ang source. I'm just quoting a source.
In a text message, Bongo denied De Lima's accusations. Go says the allegations are pure hearsay and without basis. He denies meeting Marcos and asking De La Rosa to reinstate him. Let's go back to Chief Superintendent Albayade, NCRPO Chief. Sir, can you tell us what exactly are we going to see on the streets when we say Terror Alert Level 3?
Well, security threat level 3 simply means that there is a possibility of a retaliatory acts from threat groups, especially from Mindanao, who are now subject of military operations. So that's why the Metro Manila has long been under security threat level 3 because there has been incidents of bombing. Remember the Rizal Day bombing and other bombings in bus stations. That's why Metro Manila has long been under high security threat level.
And this information that came from the intelligence network is very reliable, and that's why the government is saying that we have this terror alert level.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that there is an imminent danger or there is a clear and present danger of terror attack here, particularly here in Metro Manila.
Okay. So can you tell us what will that mean? Are we going to see more mobile checkpoints, stationary checkpoints here in the metropolis?
Yes, we have activated our checkpoint operations. We have enhanced our security measures, our target hardening measures in all ports, terminals, malls, and LRT, MRT stations, and other vital installations.
But President Duterte had said several weeks ago that he didn't want any more of these checkpoints.
Yes, but these are mobile checkpoints, not the fixed checkpoints.
Yeah. So can we talk about the 3 suspects that the PNP is still looking for? What exactly is their participation in this attempted bombing?
Well, it was revealed through one of the suspects that one of the suspects that we are under manhunt is the one who delivered the bomb coming from or the IED from Mindanao, the one who transported the IED from Mindanao.
Okay, and he is still here in Metro Manila, or is he outside?
Well, according to the suspect, he already left. But then again, we're not taking that for granted. We are still having our follow-up operations.
Yeah. So can you tell us just one last question and very briefly, paano nangyari na nakalusot yung IED na yon? Transported as a whole, complete, assembled IED from Mindanao all the way to Manila?
Well, Pia, it was transported through a vehicle, through Roro, no? And it was covered by, accordingly, it was covered by pillows. And you know for a fact that hindi naman talaga natin, we cannot cover the whole ports of Metro Manila or the whole Philippines, no? So maybe there are actually random checks, but maybe this one baka ito nakalusot sa ating security. Yeah.
NCRPO Chief Superintendent Albayade, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. The military regains control of a portion of Butig in Lanao del Sur. The Maute group occupied the area for almost a week. The local government is now seeing to it that displaced residents can get back on their feet. Devi Calm has this and more from the regions.
The government reached out to the affected residents in Butig, Lanao del Sur. The autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao's Social Welfare Department gave aid to the civilians affected by the military operations against the Maute terrorist group. ARMM Vice Governor Al-Rashid Lukman said about 2,500 residents received food. The conflict affected 90% of the town. Lukman said most of the residents are traumatized. The Maute group torched some of their houses and took their belongings. In the opening of the ARMM LGU summit, Governor Mujib Hataman said the Maute group misleads their recruits by saying their activities are in accordance with the teachings of Islam. In Maguindanao, authorities arrested alleged members of drug syndicates, including 2 leaders in Dato Odin Sinsuan. Western Mindanao Command spokesperson Major Philemontan says they served search warrants for Aya Balabaran and Lami Mamasabakulod, both syndicate commanders. In Barangay Cosyong, more than 200 sachets of suspected shabu were seized, as well as 13 firearms. While in Tapian, authorities confiscated 6 sachets of illegal drugs along with 3 firearms. Also arrested, a village councilor in Canon City, Negros Oriental. Police nabbed Hulmar Gabagaga, Barangay Mabigo councilor, allegedly with 6 sachets of shabu in his possession. Police say Gabagaga eluded arrest for a year with the help of sympathizers. They say the suspect is known for his generosity to his constituents. Nevi Calma, CNN Philippines.
Ateneo and LaSalle set to collide in the UAAP men's basketball finals for the first time in 8 years. Miko Halili checks reactions over social media ahead of Saturday's title series opener. Miko?
Yes, Pia. The Twitterverse is abuzz because Ateneo and LaSalle are about to renew their rivalry in the finals. Former King Eagle Kiefer Ravena is celebrating from overseas. Ravena praised Isaac Go for his big-time performance, and he tagged Ateneo's man of the moment on Twitter saying, "Mabuhay ka." Meantime, LaSalle's Ben Mbala is looking forward to meeting Ateneo in his dream finals matchup, and he simply tweets, "Wish granted." Mbala was actually at the Big Dome and watched Ateneo escaping with a 1-point win over FEU in an overtime thriller. That's Big Ben in his green hoodie standing out in a sea of yellow and blue in that crowd. Now, fans simply cannot wait for Game 1 of the finals on Saturday. This netizen says nothing beats an Ateneo-LaSalle game. Looking forward to this final series. Meanwhile, this netizen joked that he was willing or is willing to trade his prized Coldplay tickets to watch college basketball's most celebrated rivalry in the UAP finals. And we want to hear from you. Follow us on our social media accounts at SportsDeskPH or use the hashtag CNNPHSportsDesk. Back to you, Pia.
Thanks, Miko. Christmas is just around the corner, but at the LRT one in all corners, LRT officials have found a way to give passengers a festive treat to ease their burdens during the Christmas rush. Makoy Popioko has that story.
Just as the song says, joy to the world. That's how these passengers react to the surprise treat that LRT officials have prepared for them. A train adorned with Christmas decors, this iconic Christmas Belen, and colorful Christmas lanterns. Even the handles and the poles inside the trains are wrapped like Christmas candy canes. At your service, these beaming security guards are your Santa Clauses. Passengers can't quite contain their excitement over the Yuletide ornaments.
Parang nasa bahay kami. Bigla naming naramdaman ambience. Pasko na pala. Kahit maraming problema. Pasko tuloy ang Pasko.
LRT has been notorious for a number of train woes, slamming doors and leaky ceilings, among others, that have caused commuter chaos and safety concerns. LRT officials assure the public improvements are underway. And true enough, some passengers noticed some service upgrades.
Nag-improve, oo. Tsaka mababait na yung ano nyo. Yung mga guards. Bakit dati hindi? Naku, naka-encounter kami. Siyempre sa umaga, parapit puno. Pero anyway, okay, nakakaupo pa din.
For most train commuters, the rush hour remains a painful experience. But with these cheerful ornaments and trimmings on board, the hassle of public transport is somewhat alleviated. After all, who doesn't get ecstatic about Christmas? Merry Christmas, everyone. Makoy Popioko, CNN, Philippines.
Heads up, Quezon City residents, you have no water for 3 days. Why? We'll tell you later. And an early year ender from Spotify, top tracks and artists this 2016. Did your favorite make it to the list? Find out when Network News returns.
RFID is now ETC. Experience the same tollway convenience with the Electronic Toll Collection, or ETC. No new stickers needed. travel hassle-free to South even with your existing RFID tags. Reload your accounts at these establishments or drive to any of the following sites for installation. Visit the Skyway RFID website for more details.
May papatikim ako sa'yo. Avocado macchiato.
Avocado macchiato! Sarap ng avocado ice cream with macchiato coffee ripple and tablea bits. New Magnolia Avocado Macchiato.
The new Mitsubishi Mirage. Make it yours.
Simulan mo ang fun ng barkada with San Miguel flavored beer. May refreshing apple and lemon flavors na may light beer buzz. May sparks! Sweet! San Miguel flavored beer. The seriously fun beer.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines Network News. Maynilad has announced it's cutting water supply in some parts of Quezon City for almost 2 days next week. This is to give way for valve replacement works. We're now showing you the list of 15 barangays that will be affected. The supply cut will start 8 o'clock in the evening of December 5th until 4 in the afternoon of December 7th. Maynilad is advising residents in these areas to stock up on water. Concessionaire will also deploy 14 tankers to provide water to residents. Maynilad says it's ready to deliver water to several businesses and residents who will be affected by the scheduled water supply cut in Quezon City. Trisha Derada has more.
This laundry shop in Quezon City may have to go double time when washing clothes and may have to do some explaining to their customers now that Maynilad announced a 43-hour water service interruption. That's from December 5 at 8 p.m. to 4 p.m. of December 7. Maynilad said it needs to replace some valves in the pipelines.
Patay tayo dyan! Paano ang customer natin?
It's not just the laundry business that's feeling the pain of losing water for almost 3 days. This eatery is planning to close down until water supply returns. This means a 3,000 peso loss in income per day.
Malaki ang apekto sa amin kasi parinderya kami. Maya't maya hugas ng mga gamit. Maya't maya may kumakain, maghuhugas ka ng mga pinagkainan.
They're just among some 300,000 consumers who will be affected by the water interruption.
Aside from water interruption, this ongoing repair of pipes will also cause traffic congestion here in Barangay Talipapa. But Maynilad says it is better to do the repairs now than to cause further hassle and longer interruption in the future.
Pagka po nag-leak yun, wala po kaming pagsasarahan ng gate valve para ma-repair namin yung leak na yon.
They will be putting a line stopper to block the flow of water so they can install a new valve through the pipe.
Just in case lang po na dun sa mga unang bugso nung pagbukas ninyo ng gripo ay meron pa rin pong konting kulay yung tubig, ina-advise lang po namin na na i-flash lang po ng konti, ilang minuto lang naman po yun, makikita nyo agad magiging clear na yung tubig na lumalabas.
Maynilad advises every household to stock up at least 3 cubic meters or 15 drums of water. Maynilad says it has prepared 14 water tankers in areas affected by the water interruption. Consumers may call Maynilad's hotline to schedule a request for water delivery. Trisha Tarada, CNN Philippines.
Just moments ago, President Duterte spoke before local government officials of the Muslim Mindanao region in Davao City. Our senior correspondent Ina Andalong was there. Ina, the president talked about terrorism in the aftermath of clashes between the military and the Maute group. What was his sentiment on this?
Well, President Duterte is allaying fears that he will declare martial law. Amid threats of terrorism, he says he would rather empower and give local mayors the blanket authority to issue necessary directives to resolve terrorism in their respective areas. The president doesn't see martial law as an effective way to counter groups like the Maute group operating in Lanao del Sur. He says the country didn't even benefit much from the martial law declaration before. Speaking at the 3rd ARMM Local Government Summit here in Davao, he had a message to members of the Maute, stop what you're doing or get out of the country. Besides, the president says the Maute Group is fighting for something that is not true anyway. He says he would never allow people to be oppressed under his watch. The president said that the Maute Group, which he believes numbers just about 50, might just end up being killed by the armed forces if they do not stop. President Duterte also stressed the need to fast-track the government's shift to federalism. As he said before, he sees federalism as the best solution to the peace problem in Mindanao. And if he finishes his term without the government shifting to a federal form of government, he said he will consider himself a failure. Now, ARMM Governor Mujib Hataman says the Maute Group was among the topics of discussion among the more than 200 officials who attended the summit. While President Duterte did previously say that he wants to reach out to the Maute Group, he didn't give any clear directives to the ARMM officials here to move towards that direction. Hataman says that if the president tells them to do so, they will comply, but he says it may not be easy because, for one, they've never attempted before to open lines of communications with the group. He says it's unclear to them if the local terrorist group is connected to the Abu Sayyaf, and he also has apprehensions on trusting the Maute Group if lines of communication are indeed open. Yeah?
Ina Andalong there reporting from Davao. Anti-Marcos protesters didn't just use chants and banners during their mass action on Wednesday. They also let their voices heard with some wit. Our Maya Rodriguez has the rundown of some hilarious placards during the protest.
Protesters inject humor on their messages in their placards during Wednesday's mass action at the People Power Monument. Twitter was flooded with some witty battle cries, like in this photo. One placard says "Mumshies against Marcos," and beside it, another one reads "Make pot-pot to show your poot." That's urging motorists to honk their horns. Meanwhile, a student who joined the protest says, quote, "Bumagsak man grades ko, wag lang bayan ko." And another one even brought singer Mariah Carey in the gathering, or at least her picture. This one reads, "All I want for Christmas is hukayin si Marcos." Over here, a protester caught by user @temperamental brat promises pag nahukay si Marcos, magda-diet na ako. He goes on saying, "Hukayin nyo na, please." On Instagram, our very own Claire Yao saw this placard, a hugot line, saying, "Buti pa ang ex, binabalik ang gamit," and the hashtag, "Move on mukha mo." And another one, meanwhile, calls the Marcos burial, quote, "Living a lie." A lot of witty lines there. Stay in the loop with this story by visiting our website at cnnphilippines.com and our social media accounts at CNN Philippines. Till next time, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Ateneo and LaSalle gearing up for their blockbuster series in the UAAP final.
Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, she is standing her ground against the burial of a former president, even if this means giving up her job as National Historical Commission of the Philippines chairperson. Maria Serena Diokno tells us why she chose to do so live on the program. And youth groups are also making their stand on the Marcos burial. And later in the program, as we commemorate World AIDS Day, an increase in the number of cases of HIV in the country. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. On the eve of the second big protest against the Marcos burial at the Libingan ng mga Bayani, an official opposed to the decision of her boss and altogether left the administration. As former chairperson of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, Diokno firmly believes former President Ferdinand Marcos should not be buried at the Libingan ng mga Bayani because of historical inconsistencies. The mandate of our institution, after all, is to verify historical facts and answer historical questions. Now that the big protest is over and the commission is behind her, what's in store for the former NHCP chairperson? Let's go straight to the source of the story. former NHCP chairperson Maria Serena Diokno, or Professor Maris Diokno. Maris Diokno. Professor, good to see you again.
Thank you, Pinky.
And officially, you are resigned.
Yes.
December 1 is the day.
Yesterday was formally my last day.
Yeah, and December 1, you're a free woman.
Yes, and I returned to UP.
And
that's my home unit.
Absolutely. And you were there during the rally last night. You're one of those who spoke during the rally. What was that like?
Well, it was a new experience. People, I've been to countless rallies, but I've never spoken before. You know, it was always Dad who would speak, so I would be quite happy on the street just watching. But yesterday, they kept asking, hindi talaga ako lumalapit doon. I was trying to avoid, but they kept insisting, so I did. And
it was an experience. I'm surprised to hear that was the first time you spoke in a rally.
Yeah.
That you went up on stage even.
Yes, nako. Sanay ako mag-lecture sa class, sa mga, you know, conferences, pero sa rally. But I think I managed it.
Okay. Let's go back to your decision. The decision of the Supreme Court was handed down November 18. You formalized, you gave your resignation more or less 2 weeks after that.
Yes.
Let's just backtrack a little bit, Professor Amaris. Back in August, there was a study coming from the NHCP.
No, it was actually as early as July 12.
July 12.
Yes, the board had met before that a few times and held one special meeting just to discuss the study. And, you know, in the board, we're 5 historians. And if you've ever, you know, sat with historians before, you know how meticulous we can be.
I've only sat with you.
Well, I tell you, you know, line by line, even the language. Anyway, we sent the study to the president on July 12 because he had, you know, July 1 was his first full day. So we said, give him a few days, and we sent it July 12. No reply. So on August 5, I decided, let's just upload the study since we hadn't heard from the palace. And we really kept it just private because we thought we would give him time to read and comment. And in the letter, I also said I would be quite happy to sit down and explain the study and answer any questions if the palace had any. But we received no reply.
That's in August.
July 12.
No, July 12, and then you said
we uploaded it. No, we uploaded it in August, August 5, because I had not heard anything.
And when was the letter? The letter that you're talking about is in November?
No, the first letter was July 12, and we said we would be quite happy to sit with him. Then no reply, we uploaded it August 5. Then the Supreme Court case came up and all of that, and then the Supreme Court decision came out on the yes, and so about 3 days after, I wrote him an appeal, and I said, okay, this is what the Supreme Court has decided. But you know, as I explained in the rally yesterday, what the Supreme Court actually said, 9 of them anyway, said based on their reading of the law, you can bury him. But the question really is, should you bury him? Yes, because the difference between can and ought to there is a difference.
Now some are going to probably ask, Professor, is that something the Supreme Court should answer? Because they were left with a question, can?
Well,
or can they not?
You know, the decision to bring the case to the Supreme Court was a decision of the petitioners, no? Practically all of whom were victims of the dictatorship. Many of them testified about the torture in the Supreme Court. They spoke about the torture they experienced. So I think the desire to appeal to the Supreme Court was more in the nature of asking the court to take a broader look, which of course the majority in the court did not do. But as president, my appeal to the president was, but your case is different because you are president. So on the one hand, you have a court that says you can, but what we're saying is on the grounds of history, you shouldn't. But he didn't answer either.
He didn't answer either. Yeah, we were showing one of the letters that we found in the website of the NHCP. This was dated November 11, 2016.
Yes.
And you were asking the president to reconsider his decision because, again, this all began because the president allowed the burial of the former president. But here the president says, you just need to answer two questions, Professor. One, was Marcos a hero? Number two, was Marcos... was Marcos a president? And number two, was Marcos a hero? And that closes the argument for him.
Yes, I think which is precisely what we were asking him to reconsider. Because when you look at history, like let us say, all right, you bury the man. Which part of him do you bury? The dictator part? The soldier part, which when we studied showed a lot of fraudulent questions about his record even as a soldier. The part when he was legally president, because remember for a time beyond that his tenure was not accepted, at least by, he imposed the 1973 Constitution and all of that. So that's why we were saying you have to look at the broader picture, and that was the nature of our appeal.
How would you describe the decision of the 9 justices who said you can bury him at the LNMB?
I think they didn't look at history. I think they also, some of my opinion, like I didn't really understand the argument of, I don't know which one, that was his campaign promise and 16 million people voted for him. I mean, I don't think that's very legal. But I actually heard that line of argument during the oral argument already. So in a way, during that time, I could see the signs. And that was really when I began to think about whether my staying on in the commission would be something that I could reconcile with, both as a historian, my being a historian, and also as a citizen of our country.
How difficult was that decision for you?
It was not easy. Why? Because first, my staff. Oh my gosh, they're so sad. And I keep getting, I've received
well, let's just put it out there that Professor Maris was at the NHCP for more than 5 years.
Just 5.
Okay, 5 years.
Yes. But those were 5 fully active years. I mean, we modernized all our 20 museums. The narratives are different, a lot of interactive technologies. We've done tremendous work in the restoration of heritage, especially Bohol and Cebu, which we are nearing completion. We have huge projects laid out in the next year.
So you have a very sad staff now. Ex-staff.
No, it was hard. That was hard. It was hard, and I received a text last night, Ma'am, nakakalungkot talaga. And they were begging, and in fact, I have to admit that fellow historians were also asking me to stay. They said, you're the gatekeeper, hold on. But I said, you have to weigh where you can serve better. And if I have to go around and I'm asked in a public forum about the decision to bury, and I would have to go through this whole story and say we objected and I don't agree and this and that. I said maybe there are more effective ways of doing that outside the commission, since in the commission we weren't listened to anyway.
In the commission, even before you tendered your resignation, a board member had also resigned.
Yes, Francis.
Gialogo.
Yes.
But he didn't make it public until after you announced your resignation. But there's not just 2 of you now. Another one apparently just also resigned. Can you tell us more about that?
I just learned by text, because you see, when in the case of Francis, he had already told me privately and in the board discussion that the day after Marcos is buried, he would resign. But the board individually would speak to me. Even Francis said, stay on please, you know. And then I said, you guys aren't being fair to me.
He's leaving, but he wants you to stay on.
And then yesterday, but I didn't speak to the others about whether they should remain or stay. These actions,
it wasn't a collective decision.
No, these are individually arrived at because we want each one to go through, you know, each one's discernment and respect. And this was fine. So when Professor Aguilar resigned yesterday, he didn't even tell me. I learned it from my staff.
So just to give the viewers a background, you were the chairperson. There were about 5 board members who were supposed to be historians.
There are 5, what we call 5 regular board members by law, and by law these 5 must be historians, and they should have published. They should have published. And these 5 are appointed by the President. Now, there are 4 ex-officio members of the board. The director of the National Archives, the director of the National Library, the director of the National Museum, and the executive director of the commission. So there are 5 regular board members and 4 ex-officio. But the charter says that matters that relate to historical issues and all really are the purview of the 5.
But there's only 2 now left.
2 left.
Do you think the other 2 will be staying?
I don't know. I haven't texted or emailed.
I guess there's a lot of respect amongst the 5 of you that you can make your own decisions.
Oh, yes,
regardless you want to stay, you want to leave.
Yes. We decided.
Doesn't change.
My policy, both in the board and in the commission, was to decide in a very collegial manner. But of course, there was respect for individual decisions.
What's going to happen to? How do you see the NHCP from here on without the 3 of you now?
I really. It's tough because, you know, before, nobody paid attention to the commission. Sabi nga ng staff, when it used to be NHI, sabi nung isa, ma'am, pag magta-taxi kami, hindi nila na-taxi. Akala nila NHA, National Housing Authority. Pero sabi nila, ma'am, nung pumasok kayo, talagang nakilala tayo.
I remember, I was there one time. I did go interview you, and I saw it.
And then, you know, the staff morale is high, and you know, because I have a regular MANCOM meetings, and I hold general assemblies several times a year. All major decisions we make, even 5-year plans, everything goes through the General Assembly. And then, you know, but we go through all of that. So it was, I don't know. They asked me that. They said, paano na raw sila? And I said, this was my request. I said, remain professional at all times. And don't do anything you believe is wrong.
One question before you go. Does the burial of the former president at the libingan ng mga bayani render insignificant, or what kind of effect would that have on the People Power Revolution, the People Power Revolution?
I'm even looking bigger than the People Power Revolution. Just think of the lives of many, many young Filipinos, older ones, but many of them were young, who sacrificed. I mean, should we forget that? You know, the family was saying, oh, finally, after 30 years or something, nakamit nila yung pangarap ng kanilang tatay na ilibing doon. Sabi ko, yung pangarap ng lahat ng mga pinatay, tinorture, disappeared. May sariling pangarap ang mga yan, at pangarap hindi lamang para sa sarili, pangarap para sa bayan.
Well, we wish you luck, Professor, in the days to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was a fruitful 5 years for you at the NHCP.
Oh, a lot of work.
We thank you for your good work.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you so much, Professor Maris Diokno, for joining us here. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. From tweets to the streets, millennials are very much involved on the Marcos burial issue. We'll talk to one of them when we come back. And later in the program, there's an ongoing global health campaign to raise awareness on the HIV epidemic. Let's take a look at the increasing numbers on today's In Focus.
I bank with BDO because they always find ways to manage my finances. They help me get the car I'm using now and the home for my family. Visit the BDO branch and ask about the best loan for you. Big boy na baby ko ah.
May mga bitin na cute. Pero pag cheese ang bitin,
Hindi cute.
ang Magnolia Cheesy, mas maraming slices at 39 pesos only. Para ang cheese,
Bibitin.
Magnolia Cheesy, mas busog sa cheese.
Bakit nga ba gusto kita? Iba kasi pag ikaw nagyaya, feeling ko safe ako. Pag ikaw kausap ko, may sense, masaya. Iba kang mag-alaga, malambing. Pagkasama kita, alam mo kung hanggang saan ka lang. Ikaw ang gusto ko, sincere. Wala kang katulad. Parang San Miguel Beer.
What are the reasons on why HIV is still on the rise?
Well, I think, people lack awareness. They don't know how to get tested. Or sometimes they're just scared, to get themselves tested.
Being able to talk about it actually is the #1 way of how to dispel the stigma.
Basically, to inform people that your fear is valid, but you have to get over it so that we could save more lives.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. The issue over the Marcos burial is far from over, and a big part of those who are expressing their support or anger over the issue are millennials and various youth groups. A group named Duterte Youth Movement went out on the streets and showed their support to President Rodrigo Duterte and asked the country to move on. Let's go straight to the source of the story, the chairman of the Duterte Youth, Ronald Cardema. Ronald, maraming salamat. Thank you for being here also.
Morning, Pingy.
Okay, sandali, ano muna yung pulang banda na sa arm mo?
It's part of our Duterte Youth uniform. We have bush jackets.
Okay.
But I was caught in the MRT. I just wore barong.
Nagpalit ka?
Yes.
Okay, so yan ang nyo, parang...
Part of the uniform.
Part ng uniform nyo. Gaano kalaki ba itong Duterte Youth?
We're currently around 650 members all over the country. And we were supporters of President Duterte when he was still mayor during the campaign.
Kailan pa ito nag-umpisa? Kung mayor pa lang siya during the campaign,
Yes.
kailan talaga nag-snowball itong? So nag-umpisa, mayor pa lang siya, Mayor Duterte, meron ng Duterte Youth.
Started only this year.
This
Early
year,
during the
I see.
campaign.
Oo. Sabi mo, you're about 600. How did it begin? Paano ba nag-umpisa itong Duterte Youth?
When we saw him as our candidate, our group were composed of ROTC officers. So we saw that in Mayor Duterte, we had a leader who is focused on public order and safety, in anti-crime and in anti-drugs. So we supported him. We attended these rallies here in Luzon and in the other parts of the country. So we branded ourselves as Duterte Youth during the campaign.
Is it getting bigger? Dumadami ba yung grupo? Yung mga members ng group?
Yes, last Friday when we went to Luneta, after that, there were many messaging us in Facebook that they want to join. How can they join? They want to support President Duterte and join us in rallies.
So yung a lot of your supporters can find you on, I guess, Facebook.
Yes.
Ganyan, ano? Okay. So let's talk about that rally in Luneta. Bakit nyo sinabay yung inyong pro-Duterte rally kasabay nung anti-Marcos rally? Can you explain that to us?
Yes, the anti-Marcos rally was already scheduled. But we wanted to be there to show our support to President Duterte. Because as president, he has many problems. And at least man lang, kahit in front of anti-Marcos and anti-Duterte decision during that time na rally, he can see in the media that, there are youth members who are rallying for me, supporting me in my decision and the Supreme Court's decision.
So obviously, you are supporting the burial of the former president at the libingan ng mga bayani.
Yes, yes.
Oo. Pero nung nagpunta kayo, ilan ba kayo noon during that rally sa Luneta?
During that rally, we were only around, the Duterte Youth members were only around 20.
20.
And other people joined us. So we were around 50 before it ended.
They say, Ronald, that the base, the base, especially the youth, those supporting President Duterte is malaki, no? Madami yan.
Yes.
Bakit during the rally, 20 lang kayo?
It was our first rally, organized rally, the Duterte Youth, and we just called on our other ROTC officers, former and incumbent from other schools near Manila. So, konti lang kasi yung mga ROTC officers, so they came there.
Kasi yung sinasabi mong 600 members, that's Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao?
Yes, all over the country.
Okay, pero let's say there are going to be succeeding rallies against the Marcos burial, plano nyo bang ulit tapatan yon at magpakita ulit?
Yes, we want to be there to show our support for the president, and actually in all issues regarding the president, we want to be there. Because we in the Duterte Youth, parang sawa na kami dito sa society natin na parang third world siya. Parang ito na yung kinalakihan nating lahat na society. And in the future, kung hindi pa tayo kikilos ngayon or makikunite sa ating leader, ganito rin naman yung society in the future ng mga anak natin. So we want to be united with the president in his decisions for reforms. Palitan na natin yung slogan na change is coming. Change must start today. In everything we do, we should reform ourselves and reform the country. We admire Singapore and South Korea for their societies. Hanggang admiration na lang tayo, hanggang mga anak natin mag-a-admire na lang. We can be at the level of those countries someday, in the near future, especially with the leadership of President Duterte.
But are there policies so far or programs of the President that hindi kayo masyadong sang-ayon?
Siguro dun lang sa implementation ng sa anti-drugs. Because ang daming natatagpo ang patay. So, gusto namin, lahat ng drug lords talaga, drug pushers, mahuli. Pero sana, wag naman yung baka yung mga nag-i-implement sa field, they're doing something wrong.
So, you're a bit cautious about that, the war on drugs, dahil nagkakaroon ng mga, can you say, would you say extrajudicial killings?
I'm not sure who's doing those killings But para clear lahat, let's arrest all drug lords and drug pushers. And ka-open lang ng drug rehabilitation centers 2 days ago. So let's put them there or let's jail them. Pero sana wag natatagpo ang patay na lang.
What about the other policies or proposals of the president, for example, death penalty, by hanging? Is that something that Duterte Youth supports?
Yes, we support death penalty.
By hanging?
I'm not sure kung paano yung mismo implementation. Is that the one with the rope or?
Parang gano'n ang hanging
I think it's just part of the strong rhetoric of the president. The main issue is death penalty. We should give that punishment for those heinous criminals talaga.
The heinous crimes. And what about, well, pagka sinabi siguro moving forward, the president wants a federal form of government.
Yes.
Again, do you support that?
Yes, we support that because if everybody knows Hunger Games, diba? It's parang based on the capital lahat, and all the provinces and regions are just supporting the capital. Parang medyo ganun yung Philippines Yun yung mga gusto natin baguhin Everybody nagsisiksikan sa capital for a good life, di ba? Most of the people watching here, okay, they want to be in Manila because the media is in Manila, good life is in Manila. So we need to decentralize so that other areas would prosper.
All right, Ronald Cardema, Chairman of the Duterte Youth, thank you for being here and syempre good luck din doon sa inyong grupo. Maraming salamat. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, let's take a closer look on the rising number of